Man, I don't even know what storyline I'm more interested in here. Is it the Superman Doomsday stuff or just Jordan's terrible love life? Because, man, that is some crazy stuff going on here. But, guys, anyways, today we are talking about another brand new episode of Superman and Lois Season 2. We have now arrived in Week 2, Episode 2 of the season. The story continues, and wow, still a banger of a show. The story continues. A lot's being set up here, and wow. That's just really the best way to describe the show. Is just wow. It's like it keeps up in the ante every week, every episode. Things you don't expect, things you maybe do expect. Because actually I had some theories that were proven correct in this episode, but not in the way I expected. So anyways, guys, we have a lot to talk about today with Superman and Lois Season 2. So, of course, spoiler warning, if you've not yet seen the episode, definitely go make sure to check it out. But for now, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this and break down Superman and Lois Season 2, Episode 2. So the episode starts with Lois just cooking up a storm, making some breakfast here for the family because, of course, now we have John Henry Irons and Natalie now living on the Kent farm, at least temporarily, but now they've been welcomed to the family. And, of course, Lois is trying to get a sense of approval from Natalie because she feels bad and feels guilty and all that stuff. Really doesn't work out the greatest because she's a vegan, so, you know, all that breakfast doesn't really do much for her. But meanwhile, we still have Clark having these visions, and it's just getting more and more frequent here. And all he can see in these visions, and at least as much as he can describe, is just rocks crumbling, screams, and just pure destruction. Of course, we know what those visions are tied to, and that will be Big Boy Doomsday right there, the main villain, or at least one of the main villains of this season of Superman and Lois. So because of this, Superman, of course, needs some answers, so he goes to his half-brother, Tal-Rho, aka Morgan Edge, the main villain of Superman and Lois Season 1. So it was so cool to see this character return here in this season. It was something I was kind of expecting, but definitely not this early on in the season. But I love it. I love how he returns to go get some help from Tal-Rho. But, of course, at first, Superman was, super hesitant, and after everything that Tal-Rho did in Season 1, he's very reluctant to actually get his help and actually let him out and, let him free and all that stuff. So he's definitely very hesitant about that. So first, he actually flies off to an airport that's being attacked, where he fights this man that is breathing in this yellow toxin, which automatically, as soon as I saw that, just automatically reminded me of Titans Season 3. If you saw Titans Season 3, of course, that kind of introduced the Red Hood storyline with Jason Todd. And the whole thing with that, I guess, spoilers, is that it was kind of like this anti-fear toxin that was created by Jonathan Crane the Scarecrow for Jason Todd to use, and it was literally like this yellow gas that he inhaled through a mask thing like this. So that just automatically made me think of that right there. Which obviously isn't a great connection because Season 3 of Titans is, it's alright. But anyway, basically this toxin gives this man basically the strength of Superman, so he's actually able to take down Superman. So Superman gets knocked out, but all of a sudden he is saved by General Anderson's super team of just basically superpowered young people, basically, as we saw a little glimpse of them in last week's episode. And also now we see that Tag from Season 1 is also a member of this team, which was something I was kind of thinking of in last week's episode when he mentioned that this was like his school for the gifted or something like that. And back in Season 1, the last time we saw Tag was that after he was defeated by Superman, they said that he was being taken away to a school for gifted, or school with kids with powers and stuff. So now he has been trained to take on this new program and become a super powered child. I mean, Clark literally mentions he's only 18 years old. And again, throughout that, Superman just keeps on having these visions of just pure destruction. We still don't even know exactly what's going on there, but we get a little more hints of that towards the end of the episode. But meanwhile, we have some trouble with Lana and Kyle because, of course, we already had a bit of tension between them in last week's episode because Lana is so focused on Daniel Hart, who she wants to be the new mayor and take over for the old guy because he's a really corrupt mayor, so she wants this new guy to take over. But in this episode, he actually reveals and announces that he's dropping out of the mayoral election after he gets a new job offer because it's just not going to be right for him. So he drops out, and by the end of the episode, we actually get the reveal that now Lana is going to be running for mayor of Smallville because actually Kyle, he actually gets like the full support of the fire department, gets all their signatures and everything, and so she has officially signed the paperwork and everything, and now Lana Lang, or actually technically now Lana Cushing, is running for mayor. And obviously, most likely, she's going to win. And I think that's just great. I mean, she's like the perfect candidate to be mayor. Like, there's nobody that's more Smallville than Lana Lang. Now, also in this episode, as I mentioned earlier, we have some crazy stuff going on with the love life between Jordan and Sarah. Still more tension. She's very drifting away in these episodes and just being very, very distant. And she's still very distant here, but now they're in school. Natalie, it's also her first official day at school because she kind of like just ditched school in her actual first day in episode 1. And during this, actually, the two are introduced. Natalie and Sarah are introduced to each other. And actually, Sarah ditches Jordan to hang out with Natalie after school and work on a car together. And this was a moment where I was already getting a little bit of a theory going. And it ended up being true by the end of the episode. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But this is definitely some interesting stuff being set up there. However, speaking of Jordan, we do actually get some good stuff from him in this episode for once, as he actually gets to Superboy it up here as he goes to team up with his father and tags along on the mission to free Talrow and go back to Talrow's Fortress of Solitude and get some answers about what is going on here, why is he having these visions, and everything going on here. So they go to the Fortress of Solitude, again, Talrow's Fortress of Solitude, that's like the desert one, and Tal reveals a hologram of his and Kal-El's mother. And I think this is pretty cool because in the first season we had the hologram of course, Jor-El, Clark's father, or Kal-El's father, and of course he was kind of killed, or at least the hologram was destroyed. So now in this season we're going to be having his mother, which I think is going to be pretty cool as well. But of course things do not go very well here because all of a sudden Superman starts getting more visions again. Earthquakes begin again, and between all of this madness and destruction, Tal is actually able to escape his handcuffs and almost kills Jordan. At least he tries to kill Jordan until, of course, Superman snaps out of it and saves Jordan, and then returns Talrow to his Red Sun prison. But it seems at this point that all of these visions are kind of being caused by these earthquakes, or at least that's how it started. And when these earthquakes do take place, that's when they're really, really at their worst. And we see a little bit of a glimpse of what's causing these earthquakes, and that, of course, again, is Doomsday. We actually get kind of, he's just in the shadows, but you can see his shape there as Doomsday attacks a bunch of workers in the mine, and Joe, who's one of the workers there, he ends up blowing up the whole mine. And again, you don't actually see Doomsday, you just see his shadow, and you can see like the outline. You can see he has like lights on his chest and his like his wrist and stuff like that, as we saw from his arm in last week's episode with that teaser at the end. And as I talked about in last week's episode, when Doomsday first debuted in the comics, when he first came to Earth and when he was first revealed, he was wearing this like crazy green suit with lights on it. So most likely this explosion that Joe did to blow up the mine maybe tore off part of, or at least most of that suit, revealing of course the monstrous Doomsday underneath. Now, we do get a little bit of Lois action in this episode as well. I mean, we actually get quite a bit of Lois in this episode, but specifically for her storyline, because, you know, we've got some more with her and Chrissy at the Gazette, and it's actually revealed that a target is being painted on Lois's back due to a story that she did years ago that is connected to her sister, Lucy Lane, who of course is a character that previously appeared in the Arrowverse on Supergirl, and now it has already been confirmed that the character is returning and the actress is reprising her role for Superman and Lois Season 2. So that's going to be a character that's going to be integral to Lois's main storyline in this season. We're still not even completely sure what that's going to be, but I'm definitely interested to find out. But now, guys, here we go. Probably the thing I've been most excited I just said excited twice, but most interested to talk about in this video is the Sarah Jordan thing at the end of this, the big reveal, because Sarah goes to the Kent farm, she and Jordan talk on the porch, and we finally get the answer as to why she has been so distant. And again, my theories have been proven correct. I brought up a theory I had in last week's video where I said, alright, it's probably going to be the classic cliche you see in shows like this all the time, where it's like, oh, she went to camp, so probably she like kissed another guy or something like that. And I was proven kind of correct here, as she did kiss someone, but it was not a guy, it was a girl named Aubrey. And I mean, I don't want to brag even more, but I mean, I'm going to, because I actually kind of predicted this at the beginning of this episode. When we first saw the introduction between Sarah and Natalie, and just given the fact that, like, Sarah was so adamant and so willing to ditch Jordan to go hang out with Natalie, and how quickly she bonded with her, I kind of had a feeling like, oh, what if the person she kissed at camp is actually a girl? And that's just even worse. And this is the big reveal here, that, yeah, she kissed someone at camp, and that was Aubrey. And this I love this scene. It's like a love-hate relationship with the scene, because it's just so heartbreaking and so emotional, but the scene is so well done. I mean, the line delivery, the acting, just Jordan's face and his reaction to this news is just so heartbreaking. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I did tear up, I got emotional during this. It's so sad, and I just feel so bad for Jordan, and it's just a really emotional scene. Especially considering that actually, like, in real life, my real life girlfriend, her name is Sarah, so like, oh, imagine if I got this news. That would be terrible. I really hope that doesn't happen. But, man, just like this scene, you just gotta feel bad for Jordan, because it's even worse that it's not even his fault. There's nothing he can do to control this, and she kind of explains it as like, oh, it's just happened at camp, so it means nothing, but clearly it does mean something. Like, does this mean that she is a lesbian, or that she only likes girls, or does she like boys and girls? I don't know. We'll probably find out at some point, but it is definitely an interesting path that I did not expect them to take here, but I am glad that they are. Now, of course, the question is going to be, all right, so what's going to happen from this? Is she and Jordan going to break up? Is she going to end up with Natalie? That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. But man, I just feel bad for Jordan. Like, Jordan, I feel so bad. And then after that, we kind of have this big reveal cliffhanger at the end of the episode, of course, relating to Doomsday, our big villain here, where it is confirmed that Superman's visions are connected to Doomsday. And we actually get a shot of this lady that was working at the mine. She calls someone and says, "You're right, something came through, and it's more powerful than we thought." Of course, referring to Doomsday. But what does she mean by something came through? Is this related to some sort of multiversal stuff, similar to how Natalie came to this Earth, or is it something related to the Kryptonians? I don't exactly know what Doomsday came through, but clearly he did come through, and we're going to be getting some Doomsday in this season. And Todd Helbing, the showrunner of this series, after episode 1, not only confirmed that it was Doomsday, but also he revealed that in episode 3 we'll get the full reveal of Doomsday. So I fully expect to see our first full good look at Doomsday in episode 3 next week, guys. I cannot wait for it. Again, this was a great episode, Superman and Lois season 2, episode 2. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait to see where things go. But for now, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this episode of Superman and Lois season 2? What do you think about all the drama going on here with Jordan and Sarah, and now apparently Aubrey as well, or Natalie, and everything that's going on there, of course, is with the Doomsday stuff and everything else going on here. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.